Okay, so just a little video on carp. So we've got some various scale patterns carp here. So I just thought I'd run through some of the scale patterns, because mirror carp come in various sort of patterns, and people often sort of query particular types. So I just thought I'd demonstrate a few. So first one. So these are all carp. So this one here, you can see it's a mirror carp, but it's pretty much got all scales. So you can see they're all big and sort of, you know, all across the body, quite heavily scaled. The scales are all mismatched in size as well, so that would be like a fully scaled mirror carp. Here's another one. Actually, that's more of a heavy scaled, so there's a few gaps on there, so that'd be sort of what we'd call a heavy scaled mirror carp. And you see very similar patterns on each side, which is where they get the mirror carp sort of name from. The other popular ones, what we call linears. So that's a heavy scaled again. Let's see if we can find a linear. So there we've got one with a sort of line of scales down its lateral line, and generally they have them across the top and the bottom as well. So you can find another one. So here's another example, more sort of bigger scales, but a nice line of scales either side. It's got a couple that are not missing there, so they've not come through. Let's find another one. Yeah, another one, sort of a row of scales either side. Let's try and find one now. More sort of heavy scaled. There we go. That's an interesting one. He's got almost a double linear. He's got a line along the lateral line and below as well. It's quite an interesting pattern. And again, a heavily scaled mirror. All end up being pretty fish. These are only young. Let's try and find. Okay, so this one here is common carps. That's the sort of the main variety. Not as common. So you can see all the scales are sort of uniform all over the place. And that's what we call a common carp. Both the same species. And in fact, interesting facts, if you breed sort of just mirror carp, so let's say, you know, two random mirror carp, we have a boy and a girl for example, there may not be, and they bred, you would get a percentage of them would revert back to the common carp, type. Okay, so it all depends on lineage and parentage and that kind of thing. The other variation, which I can't find, is what they call a leather carp. So essentially what you see is you just have this bare skin here all over, where you've got no scales at all, completely absent. It's just sort of smooth skin. They're actually really quite rare, not so desirable. And then you get the sort of, you know, more standard sort of mirror carp with fewer scales. You know, they might just have a row under the dorsal fin and odds and sods there, but these are quite scaly little ones. So yeah, just a quick video on the different sort of scale patterns you can see. The interesting thing is on the mirror carp, the fewer scales they've got, or the less scales they've got, they tend to be bigger because there's no sort of energy needed to grow any scales as such. So yeah, they do it. The bigger carp, if you want a really big carp, you want ones with the least amount of scales. Yeah, interesting. Let's get these in the tanks. They've just arrived, so yeah, so it'll be interesting.